So the purpose of this video, inshallah, is that I'm going to be reacting to the clips that you've sent me on Telegram, on the link that you would see on the screen, or you see in the description box. If you go to the description box, people can send clips, inshallah, and we'll be reacting to these clips. It's only going to be clips and videos. So these are the only things that are going to be viewed and the only things that we will be reacting to, inshallah. Yeah. So let's start, inshallah, commenting on this video.
Bida'ah. Bida'ah is an innovation.
You know, before I comment, I want to say this. It's a form of commentary as well, but do you see this way of making videos? It's like, what is the best word to describe this? Is it cringe kind of content where you have someone, Bida'ah. Okay, subhanallah. Why don't people speak normally like human beings? You know, when they make these specific videos like TikTok videos or Instagram videos, why do you have to act in that like crazy, intense way in which like not a normal human being speak? You know, you're relaxing on your phone and this video comes up and one guy says, Bida'ah. And then you're like, come on, brother, what's going on, you know? So subhanAllah, we need to have like people, especially when they speak about religious matters, you know? You don't have to imitate this kind of stylistics of the kuffar of TikTok and this and that, just trying to be funny and this. Why don't you just like speak normally and explain to the people what you want to say, you know? But obviously they're doing that for like shock effects so they can get more people to watch their videos, you know? Bida'ah. Let's listen to the Bida'ah, inshallah.
The scholars of the Salaf divided it into good innovations and bad innovations. Second.
Okay, so this person says Bida'ah, and then he jumps into saying that the scholars of the Salaf have divided Bida'ah into good innovation and bad innovation. And does he cite any sources? Does he quote anyone from the Salaf, from the Sahaba or the Tabi'een or the Ba'd Tabi'een, who said that they have divided Bida'ah into good innovation or bad innovation? There's no such thing as someone from a Salaf al-Salih, from the Sahaba or the Tabi'een or the Ba'd Tabi'een, that said that the Bida'ah is divided into two categories, good Bida'ah and bad Bida'ah. And before we speak about the Salaf al-Salih, where do we get our religion from as Muslims? We get our religion from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what the Prophet alayhi salatu wasallam said, right or wrong? The Prophet alayhi salatu wasallam, what did he say about Bida'ah? He said, وَكُلُّ بِدْعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ وَكُلُّ ضَلَالَةٍ فِي النَّارِ. That every Bida'ah is misguidance, and every misguidance is in the fire. So when the Prophet ﷺ says, وَكُلُّ بِدْعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ, and every innovation is misguidance, would someone from the Sahaba or the Salaf or otherwise come later on and tell you that no, actually this is a good bid'ah and this is a bad bid'ah? Prophet ﷺ said, kullu, every bid'ah is misguidance. That's why you're not going to find what he's right now claiming, the Salaf dividing the bid'ah into two things, good bid'ah and bad bid'ah. There's no such thing. So that is the first thing that we can see in this video. The first thing he started the video with is a claim or in which he did not provide any evidences for, in which honestly is a fabricated claim. But he doesn't even explain. I think he's just given an example straight away. He didn't even explain what is a bid'ah. And let me explain what a bid'ah is. A bid'ah is a very simple thing. A bid'ah has to be in religion. The bid'ah has to be in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. Because there are inventions that we're using today. Look, I'm using this camera to talk to you. I'm using this computer, this microphone. All of these things which have been innovated, have been created, have been made, but they're all object. They're not to do with the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. They're not to do with the religion. They are wasa'il. They are things, they are means that you can use to fulfill something, to do a specific task. It is not something specific in the religion, the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. So bid'ah is what? Bid'ah, the first thing we have in the bid'ah, it has to be in the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal. You're introducing something into the religion of Islam. Now, when we see also introducing something into the religion of Islam, that thing cannot have an origin in Islam, whether it is a general origin or a specific origin, not a am or a khas. Does not have an asl, it has no origin in the religion, in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. So you've innovated something. It has no origin in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. And that you believe it's a qurbah. You believe it's something that brings you closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. Just like Shawkani and others have defined the bid'ah. So it's something that the person, when he's doing, he believes that thing is bringing me closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. So do we understand what bid'ah is? Bid'ah is what? Bid'ah is something that you do in the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal. Not building a car, you know, and an airplane. That's not a bid'ah because it's not in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. It has no origin in religion. You completely fabricated it. There is no origin in religion. You've got no evidences for this, no Quran, no Hadith, nothing that supports what you're saying. And the last thing is, you believe when doing this action brings you closer to Allah. Or you believe doing this action is a good thing, it's a righteous thing, that you get hasanat from, brings you closer to Allah, a part of this deen, a part of this religion. This is the definition of bid'ah. Another thing I want to mention is that the bid'ah can be used linguistically, in a linguistic sense, and it can be used from a shari'i sense. There are certain things that you hear the Sahaba saying, bid'ah hasana. You probably heard this, like you heard a companion like Umar ibn Khattab or another companion calling something bid'ah hasana or ni'mal bid'ah. What they mean by bid'ah hasana there is an action from a linguistic sense now. They're not talking from a sharia sense, they're talking from a language sense. So when they say bid'ah hasana or good bid'ah, they are referring to things which has an origin in Islam. Something that the Prophet ﷺ did, but the people have left it, and then someone brought it back. So someone has reminded the people with it. So that is bid'ah from a linguistic perspective now, not from a sharia perspective. So you can use that term from a linguistic perspective to refer to something Not new in the religion of Islam. Something that was already there in the religion of Islam. But people have forgotten about it. I'll give you an example now. Right now, I can wear my shoes and go in the masjid and try to pray in the masjid with my shoes. You know what's going to happen? My uncle is the masjid is going to get a stick and try to beat me up. That's what's going to happen. Because the uncle in the masjid, he says like, why would this guy go in with his shoes inside the masjid? But if that shoes is like completely new, clean, and I bought it from the shop and it's completely clean, there's nothing on it, and I put it outside the masjid, clean, I don't use it on the floor, so there's no dirt, there's nothing on it, there's no najasa on it. I wear it and I go and I want to pray with it. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, go against the Jews and the Christians and pray in your shoes, because the Jews and the Christians don't pray in their shoes. So praying in your shoes is sunnah. You can pray in your shoes as long as it's clean. So you check your shoes, that there's no najasa on it, there's nothing on it. If it's clean, then you can pray on it. Najasa is known Islamically, what is called najasa. Dust is not najasa, That's why you do tayammum, you do it with dust. That's not considered najasa. Najasa is like urine or these type of things. So as long as your shoes is clean, you can pray. So if I go get a shoes or do something like this, the uncle is going to be like, he's going to go crazy. So that is a sunnah that has become a bid'ah now if I bring it, because it will become a bid'ah from what sense? From a linguistic sense. That the people think I'm innovating something, but it is just something that has an origin in the religion that people have left. So from a linguistic sense, this is what the Sahaba mean when they say bid'ah hasana. It's an action that the Prophet ﷺ done, or commanded, or exists in the Quran, but people forgot about it. For example, responding to the salam while you pray. There is a sunnah, by the way. You can respond to the salam, not by saying wa alaikum salam, but by a hand movement, you can respond to the salam of someone doing the salam while you pray. A lot of people don't know this. If I do this today, they will think it's a bid'ah, So this will be a form of a bid'ah from a linguistic sense. That's something that has evidence in the Quran and Hadith, but people do not know about it, they forgot about it. Now it's very important to explain, because we will see now what this good person is going to say. And I'm assuming he's going to do some trickery, But let's listen to what he's going to say, okay?
Adhan on a Friday, Bida'ah. Uthman radiallahu anhu innovated this great innovation, and that is a good Bida'ah.
Okay. He says, look, Uthman radiallahu anhu innovated this bid'ah, innovated this good bid'ah. Did Uthman radiallahu anhu call this action a bid'ah? Did he say, I'm doing a good bid'ah? Did Uthman radiallahu anhu innovated the adhan? Or the adhan is something that existed from the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Is there also an instance of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam making a adhan twice for a specific reason? The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, for example, for Fajr, there was two adhans, an early adhan and then adhan afterwards for Fajr. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam used to say to Abdullah ibn Maktoum to do an adhan, and then Bilal do the adhan for Fajr. So there is an early adhan there. And it's still there if you go to Mecca, etc. There's the first adhan and second adhan. The Prophet ﷺ did it. So there's two types of adhan there. So it's not only that the adhan is a part of Islam, but there was for a specific reason. The Prophet ﷺ have commanded two adhans. Like the one early for Fajr to wake the people up, and the second is for the prayer. So the Jum'ah here, Uthman radiallahu anhu, when he said do the adhan twice, what was the reason? It is explained in the same narration that talks about Uthman radiallahu anhu introducing the other adhan. It mentions the reason. It says that the reason was that Islam has spread and religion has spread everywhere. And then there were many people. So if you do one adhan, people do not have enough time to reach the masjid. They do not have enough time. They're far away. So he used to send someone in the market and he does the adhan there, or he does the iqamah there. So the people can be alerted that this is the time of the prayer and they can have enough time to come. So you cannot then come and say, this is a bid'ah. This is a bid'ah. And bid'ah hasana. As if Uthman radiallahu anhu was saying this is a bid'ah, And the thing is this, anything that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu did, or Umar ibn Khattab does, or Ali, or Uthman, anything that these four people do is by default sanctioned and given legitimacy by the Prophet ﷺ. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, عليكم بسنتي, upon you is my sunnah, and the sunnah of the خلفاء الراشدين, وسنتي عليكم بسنتي وسنة الخلفاء الراشدين المهديين من بعدي. The guided خلفاء الراشدين, they're guided. And the Prophet ﷺ said, follow their sunnah. So if I follow the sunnah of Uthman, I'm following the Prophet ﷺ. And I've got the origin there, because the Prophet ﷺ said, these people are special people now, you follow their sunnah. They're not like everyone else. Did the Prophet ﷺ tell you that you are from the Khulafa al-Rashideen and you should follow your sunnah today? Is that the reason? No. It is very simple. Those Khulafa al-Rashideen have a specific authority given by the Prophet ﷺ, that they are guided and they are the closest companion to the Prophet ﷺ. They are the best people in this ummah, and they have been given the authority, and we've been commanded to follow their sunnah. What they do, we can do. Okay? Even assuming, if you want to assume that this is a new action, it's not like it's already existed, the adhan existed at the time of the Prophet. Even if you want to assume that this is a new action, and it was not done only for that specific reason, that the people were far away and they were not rich. Even if you want to ignore all of this, we still have evidence there that the Prophet ﷺ, he said that we can follow who? Uthman radiallahu anhu, his sunnah. What he does, we can follow his sunnah. So we have an evidence where we can follow Uthman radiallahu anhu in what he did, which is the second adhan. So you have no evidence there. Okay, let's see the second example.
Minarets on mosques, Bida'ah. The great Caliph Umar.
And he says, bid'ah? And he does like this. It's like he's asking a question, and and the answer is no, it's not a bid'ah. If this is a question, or you ask it, this is a bid'ah, this is not a bid'ah, brother.
Ibn Abdul Aziz innovated this great innovation of the minarets to help the people listen to the adhan. And that is a good bid'ah.
Okay, so again, did Umar ibn Abdul Aziz say this is a bid'ah? And did he say that, you know what, this is a good innovation bid'ah that I've innovated? You attribute things to the Sahaba and the Salaf al-Salih that they've not said. You put it in their mouth and you say this is a good bid'ah. They didn't say it's a good bid'ah. Now, he said minarets. Didn't we? Look, that's the reason I identified for you. And I explained to you in the beginning of the video is a bid'ah. The reason I explained is because you have people like this. They bring something like a building, a structure, and they say this is a bid'ah. Is this a part of the religion? Isn't this, what I told you already, a wasila, a means for us to do a specific thing? Like the adhan, for the adhan, we use this as a means, like I'm using this microphone as a means and the camera as a means to reach you. We use this minaret as a means to reach more people when they were using it. So the voice can reach more people. So and the mu'adhin at the time of the Prophet ﷺ used to find where is the high place in the ground, and they go up and they do the adhan. Like Bilal, he used to go on top of the Kaaba, or the Prophet, or they go on top of a mountain and they do the adhan. Because when you are in a high place, then that sound reaches other people, So this would be similar, like saying the microphone is a bid'ah, internet is everything is a bid'ah. So according to this person, everything literally is going to be a bid'ah. If building something is a bid'ah, then everything is going to be a bid'ah, based on this idea and understanding,
Dots on the letters of the Quran, bid'ah. Did you know that Yahya ibn Ya'mar innovated this great innovation to help the Muslims read the Holy Quran, and he wasn't even from the Sahaba? And that is a good bid'ah. Right?
Subhanallah. Well, I don't know. Some people, I sometimes wonder, do people have no shame, like to attribute things to the Sahaba and the Tabi'een and say that they said this, they said that? Subhanallah. Did Yahya ibn Ya'mar, who was not a Sahabi, yes, obviously, he died in the 2nd century actually. Did he say to you, I have put these dots as a bid'ah hasana to bring people closer to Allah? Is this a matter of a religion? Dots on letters, is that a matter of religion? Subhanallah, why would you attribute things to people that they did not attribute to themselves, that did not quote themselves? Is it because you want a specific thing for yourself? That's why you quote these things and you attribute things which are not correct to them? By the way, let me tell you something. Yahya ibn Ya'mar, he's not the first person. He did not introduce dots. That is an incorrect statement, actually. That is completely incorrect. And obviously, either the person he doesn't know or the person is deliberately misrepresenting this. This is not the case. And let me show you, actually. Here's an inscription, yeah? Do you see this inscription? This inscription here is dated to what time? It's dated to 2022 AH, 22 the Hijri calendar. Yahya ibn Ya'mar died in the 2nd century Hijri, This is dated 22, and who is dating it is the writing it has the date. Yeah, here من سنة 22, and the person who wrote it is there. He wrote in the inscription what time he wrote this information. This inscription is dated to 22nd AH, the time of the Sahaba, the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and it has dots here, 1, 2, 3 dots here, one dot here, one dot there. Okay, that's one inscription. Let me show you another inscription. Here's an inscription written by Zuhair. Okay, what does it say? It says Bismillah, and it has, look here, Ana. The dot is here, a dot is here, a dot, all of these dots here. For this person who's saying dots came like in the 2nd century, obviously, yeah. And he said Bismillah, Ana Zuhair, my name is Zuhair. I wrote this when Umar radiallahu anhu died, Sanata 24 AH. So this inscription is dated 24 AH. So you've got an inscription dated 24 AH that has dots on it, meaning at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was inscriptions. At the time of the Sahaba, there was inscriptions. There was dots written. So this is absolute evidence now. That is refuting this claim that before even Yahya ibn Ya'mar was born in the end of the 1st century or whenever he was born, even before he was born, you have inscriptions there and you have the dots. So this idea that he introduced the dots is completely incorrect. And also that is why the scholars, they say, Uthman radiallahu anhu, he left the Masahif without dots for a reason. It was intentional, which means that there was dots at the time. So when the Salaf say that he left dots, that means that there was dots, that they were already using dots, and he left it for a reason. And that reason it was because of the different recitations. So it can include as much of the different recitations as possible. So when people speak about the deen of Allah like this, they need to at least understand, what they're saying. They need to understand what they're saying. So, okay, let's continue what you guys say.
Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu innovated this great innovation, and he said what means this is a good bid'ah.
Okay, so you see here now he said that the Sahabi have said it. He said his statement. But other people, he attributed to them that this is a good bid'ah because none of them have said it's a good bid'ah. But Umar ibn Khattab, he says, like, he said it. Look, he said it's a good bid'ah. He said what it means is a good bid'ah. So you agree that in this case, you have a statement. But on the other situations, you literally put that statement in the mouth of those people. Because none of them have said what you said. Now, praying Taraweeh in Jama'ah is a bid'ah. There is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he prayed Taraweeh and he gathered the people and he led them in Jama'ah. And he didn't do it for one night, he did it for multiple nights. And the hadith mentions the Prophet ﷺ doing it. And then the hadith also mentions that the Prophet ﷺ left it for what reason? He left it because he said, I am afraid it's going to become an obligation on you. If I continue to do it, it will become obligatory and everyone will have to pray Taraweeh. Right? It's not going to be a sunnah, it's going to be an obligatory action. So the Prophet left it for that reason. When the Prophet ﷺ died, and the time of Umar ibn Khattab came, Umar ibn Khattab said, okay, I'm going to gather the people again now. Remember what I said to you in the beginning. When the Sahaba say Bida'ah Hasana, they're referring to an action that the Prophet ﷺ did that the people have forgotten and left. An action that people are no longer doing. So you bring it back, which is already has an origin in the Sharia. So this is what Umar ibn Khattab did. He brought an action that the Prophet ﷺ already did, and he led the people in Jama'ah because now it cannot become an obligation. Because the Prophet ﷺ died. So no shara', no revelation is going to come and say, now it's an obligation. Now, you want to say bid'ah, this is something the Prophet ﷺ did. Literally, he did himself and he led the people. And there is an explicit hadith. And I think these people know these things, They're telling you these things, but with the intention, most of the time, I don't know this person, but generally, most of them, they do this with the intention to deceive you. They already know the answers. They already know the Prophet ﷺ did this. But they just say it for the sake of, using it, misusing it, tell the lay people, the people they do not know. Prophet ﷺ did it, so they tell the people these type of things,
Mawlid, you guessed it. The bid'ah that
You guessed it. SubhanAllah. Okay.
complies with the rules of the religion is accepted. And the bid'ah that goes against the rules of the religion is rejected. The messenger...
Okay, so now he's all of this mumbo jumbo that was going on from the beginning of the video is to reach this point. Mawlid is the point of celebrating the birthday of the Prophet ﷺ. You have to do all of this like misrepresenting statements, attributing things to people that didn't do, calling things which are instructions and buildings bid'ah. You have to do all of this just to try to legitimize the action that you do, which is in celebrating the birthday of the Prophet ﷺ. Like, honestly, you have to go through all. Do you see? Isn't this enough of an evidence for the people watching to know that this is something now of the religion? If it was for the religion, you'll easily find the hadith. You'll easily find like a statement from a companion doing it. You'll go to that straight away, and that you'll save yourself time. But when you have to like go in a circle like this, bring things that are not related, make up statements and all of that, so you can just say Mawlid, it is clear evidence that you got no evidence literally. You're just making things up in order for you to push forward your agenda. And then he says that which Allah agrees with the rules of the religion. Yeah, the rules of the religion says that every bid'ah is misguided. Khalas, they cannot be a bid'ah hasana. Because the Prophet ﷺ, what did he say? He said every bid'ah is misguidance. So if it goes against if anything you innovate, then it's against the religion. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that there is nothing that brings you closer to Allah Azza wa Jal except that I've told you. And there is nothing that moves you away from hellfire except that I forbade you from. So if you tell us this Mawlid or whatever innovation you want to bring, if it brings you closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, then this opposes the Sharia, the religion that you just said, the statement that you just said. And if it doesn't bring you closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, then you are just bringing something into Islam and going against the tradition of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said you cannot bring anything into Islam. So those people who do the Mawlid, they believe that this is like of a love of the Prophet ﷺ, and this brings you closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. But the Prophet himself told you, there is nothing that brings you closer to Allah except I've already told you. And he says, مَنْ أَحْدَثَ فِي أَمْرِنَا هَذَا مَا لَيْسَ مِنْهُ فَهُوَ رَدٌّ. Whoever innovates anything in this religion that is not from it, is not a part of it, then it's rejected. These are not my statement, brothers. I don't need to go in a circle like you and like this building is an innovation. I don't need to do any of that. I can just tell you the Prophet ﷺ said. You see, Islam is very simple, man. The Prophet ﷺ said, خلاص, follow what the Prophet ﷺ said. Don't waste your time anymore. It's a very simple thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Mawlid now. This idea, look. The Mawlid of the Prophet ﷺ. If anyone celebrates the birthday of the Prophet ﷺ, and they want to say that this action brings you closer to Allah, or they want to say that this is a good thing, then they need to explain to us, why did the Prophet ﷺ not command it? Why did the Prophet ﷺ not do it? Why did the Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ, who you would agree with me, they loved the Prophet more than you, unless you say that you love the Prophet more than the Sahaba, then you got your own problems. I don't need to deal with you even. So if you say that the Sahaba, as you agree, and the Tabi'een and Atba'u Tabi'een, because they were the best of generations, They already love the Prophet ﷺ more than me and you or anyone else loves the Prophet ﷺ. That means that if this action was good and they love the Prophet more than you and me, then they would have done it. But you don't have the Sahaba or the Tabi'een or the Tabi'een or the year after it or the year after it or the year until we came to the Fatimiyyin, you know? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years later, where the group of people decided to innovate this idea of celebrating the birthday of the Prophet ﷺ. Some of them will tell you, no, the Prophet ﷺ celebrated his birthday. He did, man, but you just don't know. Okay, when did the Prophet ﷺ celebrate his birthday? They will say to you, the Prophet ﷺ fasted Monday. And he said it's the day I was born in. Now, let me tell you the trickery here and the funny trickery about this idea. The Prophet ﷺ, when he fasted, if I want to accept their claim, the Prophet ﷺ fasted Monday because he was born Monday. Did the Prophet ﷺ fast the date that he was born? This is what a birthday is. You celebrate Rabi' al-Awwal. Rabi' al-Awwal can come on a Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it can come any day. Doesn't have to be a Monday because it's a specific date. So when you say you celebrate a birthday, you're not celebrating Monday, are you? Why you're not celebrating Monday then? You should be celebrating Monday because the Prophet ﷺ fasted Monday. So when he says the day I was born in, he's referring to Monday. He's not referring to the date, which is 12 Rabi' al-Awwal, yeah? He was not looking at the calendar when it is 12 Rabi' al-Awwal and celebrate that day. Let's say I'm born on a Friday. That Friday has a specific date in the calendar. If I celebrate the specific date, sometimes it's going to be Friday, sometimes it's going to be Saturday, sometimes it's going to be Sunday. This is a birthday. But to celebrate Friday itself as a day, then this is a different story now. So they misattribute things to the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they say he celebrated his birthday. That was not his birthday. That was Monday, the specific day. And the Prophet ﷺ did not say it just because I was born in it. He said he fasted for a specific reason. He said he fasts Monday because this is a day I was born. It is a day I'm going to die, and it is a day that bu'ithtu fihi. I was given messengerhood in. So because all of these events happened on a Monday, so the Prophet decided to fast on a Monday. And Thursday, because the deeds are uplifted to Allah, so he wants his deeds when they're lifted to Allah, that his deeds are lifted when he's fasting. So he's saying, because of all of these events happening in a specific day, I'm fasting that day. He's not saying celebrate my birthday, celebrate 12 Rabi' al-Awwal, which by the way is not, there's no evidence that this is the time that he was born. Even you have people who say, okay, you can celebrate birthday, they themselves tell you that we do not know when he was born exactly. So how are you going to celebrate his birthday when you don't even know when he was born? So subhanAllah, people will try to do anything for the sake of their own, you know what, they won't play music and dance and celebrate and do all of this stuff. That's why they will play with their religion, try to make up things to say, okay, you know what, we should celebrate it, it's a part of Islam. Let's finish this video.
Of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, said what means, whoever innovates a good innovation in Islam will receive the rewards for it, and similar rewards to those who follow it until the day of judgment. That's in Sahih Muslim, and Allah Ta'ala knows best.
Okay. Okay. Well, alhamdulillah, we're done. Okay, let me stop sharing the screen. Okay, so he says there what? What does he say? He says, who innovates a bid'ah in Islam. The Prophet ﷺ said, who innovates a bid'ah in Islam. That is a lie. The hadith in Sahih Muslim, in which he's referring to, does not say that. The hadith in Sahih Muslim, it says, man sanna sunnatan hasana. It doesn't say have in Islam there. فَلَهُ أَجْرُهَا وَأَجْرُ مَنْ عَمِلَ بِهَا. So whoever does a sunnah, a good sunnah, he will have that reward of that good sunnah and the reward of everyone who does that good sunnah. So subhanAllah, they attribute things, misattribute things to people. They even say that the Prophet, mistranslate or mistransmit what the Prophet ﷺ said. And the Prophet said, you know, if you lie about me intentionally, prepare your seat in the hellfire. It's not a small issue, you know. And by the way, this video like has millions of views or something. I don't know. It's like so many people, hundreds of thousands of people have seen this video. It's not just one or two people have seen this video. That's why I'm reacting to it. And people actually think that this guy is speaking reality and truth there. So that hadith that he's referring to, what happened in this hadith? There was a group of people, a wafd, that came to the Prophet ﷺ. They were hungry. You could see the hunger in their faces. Then the Prophet ﷺ, his face changed. And then he asked who donates or who wants to give charity to this group of people. Then one man stood up, a Sahabi, and he started donating, and he gave donations to the Prophet ﷺ. So other people saw him, so they also stood up and started donating. So the Prophet ﷺ said, Man sanna sunnatan hasana. Whoever does a good sunnah, this sunnah hasana, he does initiates, meaning initiating the action. Sanna sunnatan here, he's initiating in an action, which is already a part of Islam, to give charity, you know. So whoever initiates the act, he will have a reward of the act and everyone who followed him in the act. So he initiated giving the sadaqah. So he gets the reward of the sadaqah and everyone who followed him gets the reward of the sadaqah. Did that Sahaba in the hadith bring a new tradition, a new way to worship, and then the Prophet ﷺ say, this is a good sunnah? So, and you call it innovation? Is it given sadaqah innovation? Since when it's given sadaqah innovation, you know? So subhanAllah, the people like this, they have to really twist everything about the religion. They have to twist things about the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal in order for them to show their own, support their own cause or support what they want you to believe in, you know? Okay, so that's the first video, you know? Let's move to another video, inshallah. Look, this one is titled, What Atheists Debunk Scientific Claims from the Quran, okay? So this video here, I found it interesting, actually. Let's watch it, and then I'm going to comment on it, inshallah, yeah? So it's an atheist who debunks scientific claims from the Quran.
Look at what the Quran says in chapter 21, verse number 30. Mr. Carey, you may want to write that down. Do the disbelievers not see that the earth and sky was once one and we opened it? And we made everything living out of water. That's a biological fact today, which is a recent discovery. Who could say that 1400 years ago? That's the evidence.
Someone did say that 2,500 years ago. His name was Thales. He argued that all life originated from water. This belief was a cosmological view in ancient Greece. It wasn't commonly held, but it was certainly advocated. Prophet Muhammad is stating a belief that was actually advocated hundreds of years before him by someone who wasn't a prophet. So you can't claim that he was prophesying that all life is created out of water if non-prophets already advocated such a view.
If a person says enough things, if you throw enough spaghetti against the wall, some of it's going to stick. And if you dig through any ancient book, you're going to find some things that look prophetic, and you're going to go, wow, look at what he said. Why didn't God reveal to Muhammad the germ theory of disease? Wouldn't that have been a useful thing for him to have told us about? He failed to give us that useful bit of information.
Let me go through it bit by bit and then explain to you how to respond. Okay, look.
Is in chapter 21, verse number 30. Mr. Carey, you may want to write that down. Do the disbelievers not see that the earth and sky was once one and we opened it? And we made everything living out of water. That's a biological fact today, which is a recent discovery. Who could say that 1400 years ago? That's the evidence.
Okay, so the claim is here is what? Allah Azza wa Jal says that He's created everything living from water. So specifically the Quran does not say Allah created everything from water. Allah says that He created living things from water. The biological fact today that we know is that cells are composed of water, and therefore that the biological life is from water. If there is no water, you cannot have life. That's why they look for water on Mars, right? Or trying to get water on Mars. Now look at that person responding to the claim. What does he say?
Someone did say that 2,500 years ago. His name was Thales. He argued that all life originated from water. This belief was a cosmological view in ancient Greece. It wasn't.
Now look, he lied there because he said that Thales said that all life came from water. Thales said everything is from water. You know, Thales, he was like, there was seas around him. So, you know, he said everything is made from water. So Thales did not restrict that to living things. The statement of the Quran in chapter 21 of the Quran, verse 30 is very clear. The statement is every living thing. Allah Azza wa Jal is very specific there. Allah says, كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. If it doesn't say حَيٍّ in the end, which means living, it would be كُلَّ شَيْء, everything. This is the belief of Thales now. So he introduced a belief of Thales that is not even in line with what the Quran is saying. He lied. He said that Thales said that everything living, all life came from water, which is, by all life, he means that Thales said everything came from water. Anyone can Google this right now, you know. Can Google Thales' position on everything from water. You will see that he believed all elements, everything literally is from water. Everything comes from water. The buildings, everything, which is inaccurate today. And now look at the second thing that he says after that. Look.
Commonly held, but it was certainly advocated.
Look, he says that belief was not commonly held, but was advocated. So the first thing is he lied about Thales. The second thing we see here is what? Is that there's an assumption here. He says that belief was not common. That means that there was multitude of different beliefs that the Greeks had. So how did the Prophet ﷺ knew which belief among those different beliefs to choose? So assuming the Prophet ﷺ spoke Greek, in which we have no evidence for, and we know he didn't speak Greek, assuming he did learn Greek somehow, and he never traveled to Greece, but assuming he did learn Greek or meet a Greek person or whatever it is, like, how would the Prophet ﷺ know which statement, because this was not even a common belief, according to what you said, not according to what I said. You said it's not a common belief. So if it was not a common belief, then how would the Prophet ﷺ know? Rather than leaving the common beliefs, if he was copying from the Greeks, so he would leave the common beliefs and he would take the beliefs that are not common? Is that what you would do? Or you would take the common belief to assume that this is the right thing? You will go with the common belief. Of course, you're not going to go with the uncommon belief. So the Prophet ﷺ, how would he know what is correct already? So he can choose from what Thales said and what this person says and then follow it. So do you see, it's like, honestly, like, what is the claim you're making there? You're making a claim the Prophet ﷺ spoke Greek, traveled to Greek, and he left the predominant view and every other view, and he just happened to choose the correct view, which was not even that living things were created from water, but everything was created from water.
Prophet Muhammad is stating a belief that was actually advocated hundreds of years before him by someone who wasn't a prophet. So you can't claim that he was prophesying that all life is created out of water if non-prophets already advocated such a view.
If a person says enough things,
Now look at what this person says.
if you throw enough spaghetti against the wall, some of it's going to stick. And if you dig through any ancient book, you're going to find some things that look prophetic, and you're going to go, wow, look at what he said. Why didn't God reveal to Muhammad the germ theory of disease? Wouldn't that have been
Now look at this ignorant argument. So the argument he says is the following. He says, you know what, if you throw spaghetti on the wall, some of it is going to stick. Which means what? The Prophet ﷺ was like making up statements according to him. He was throwing spaghetti at the wall. That would mean, and then he says to you, if you look at Asian civilizations, you will find one thing here or there that is, you would say, wow, this is like prophetic. So if you go according to his own statement, if you go to Asian civilizations books, you will find 99 wrong statements and one statement here or there that is like, wow. So then the Quran should be, like he said, full of fabricated wrong statements, and then just one statement that is correct here and there. Do you see now the straw man that he's making, the wrong argument that he's making, the lies that he's making in what he says? He is pretending as if the Quran has, like the Asian books that he's saying, has like tons of claims which are all wrong, and then just they happen to get one claim is correct. That is not our argument. Our argument is that everything in the Quran is accurate, is correct. And that the information of the Quran is not one or two things, but the information of the Quran is accurate and it is in line with biological life, is in line with the life that Allah Azza wa Jalla has created around us. That is our claim. So it is not that just one thing happened to stick when you throw enough spaghetti at the wall. This is not the argument. And this is the other thing is, this is a common claim of atheists. They would say to you, this person said it this years ago. This person said it that years ago. So the question is, how did the Prophet ﷺ get this information? Did he study every Asian civilization? And if he did study every Asian civilization, how did he know which correct views to take and which wrong beliefs to take? Because most of the beliefs of these Asian civilizations are incorrect. So you have one of two options. Either to say that these things were revealed to him, or that Prophet ﷺ like studied every civilization that existed. And after studying every civilization that existed, he already knew what was right. So he was picking what was right from them, which is just ridiculous, you know? So then these people argue, like their arguments are like very ridiculous, that shows that these people, they're not looking for the truth. This is a very common argument, by the way, that atheists make. And you see this video like has almost 2 million views on it or something.
been a useful thing for him to have told us?
Yeah, and then the other thing that he made there, the claim he made there, is why didn't tell us about germ theory? If the Quran were to tell you about every specific disease, every specific cure, every specific useful information that you can have, how big of the book will it be? Is the Quran user manual for like good for every specific detail of human life? Is that it? Is the Quran saying to you that I'm going to mention to you every single disease that is going to come and how to go against that disease? And is that what the Quran is saying? The Quran gives you general principles that deals with anything that is an issue. The Prophet ﷺ said, for example, there is no disease except that there is a cure. So it tells you that if you ever encounter a disease, there is a cure. You should be searching for the cure. And he says, tadawu, that cure yourselves. Yeah, meaning go to doctors, cure yourself. And he recommends certain things for people to cure themselves, like hijama and other things, and honey and all of these things, which can help cure the individual. But to come and say a specific name of the disease, every specific name of the disease you want to find in the Quran, isn't that just a ridiculous statement to make, you know? So this is like the nutshell what atheists most of the time argue. So I want Muslims to keep in mind these things. Because when you sometimes produce things that the Quran mentions that the Prophet ﷺ could not have known, what most of the time they do is that they go to every Asian civilization and this person said this person said that, they said it before. Okay, so where did the Prophet ﷺ get the information? From every civilization, he happened to get the correct information and leave every wrong information from every civilization? Does that make any sense? And now when it comes to the idea, just to finish with this, when it comes to the idea of like scientific miracles, we don't call it scientific miracles, but what we would say is the following. This is a claim that I would make, is that the Quran says information about the natural world, like biological life coming from water. The Quran will make these claims that were not known to the Prophet ﷺ. That's number one, was not known to the Prophet ﷺ, his people or previous civilizations. That's one argument. The other argument, the Prophet ﷺ will make statements that the people used to believe the opposite of it. So for example, the Quran or Hadith will talk about certain things that the people used to believe the opposite of it. And the Quran will go against them, and the Quran will be right, and those civilizations will be wrong. Which shows if the Prophet ﷺ was copying, he will go with the predominant view. But the Quran goes against the predominant views, and still the Quran corrects them. And another type, the third type of miraculous information, nature of miraculous information, is that when there is two predominant views, the Quran chooses the correct predominant view of those people of the past, if this information already existed in the past. So we have three types of informations in the Quran now. information about the natural world that was not existed ever before, or that goes against the predominant view that the people heard all the time, or it is in line with one of two views that were predominant at the time. So this shows you now that the Quran, has to be a revelation from God, because if anyone copying, he cannot go against the predominant view. He cannot know which view to take if there is two predominant views, and he cannot introduce information which was not known in the past that is accurate.